Hello. Today we're going to learn the basics of digital audio recording and editing. If you would like to follow along with this lesson, it is recommended you have a laptop with a built-in microphone. You will also need the Google Chrome browser. Google Chrome is the only browser that will work with BAE, so if you do not yet have Chrome, you will need to install it if you choose to follow along with this lesson. Our lesson today will focus on audio recording and editing techniques with Beautiful Audio Editor. You can see a link to Beautiful Audio Editor on this screen. BAE has a number of features that will be useful to us as we learn about audio recording and editing. It will allow us to record audio directly in our browser. It will allow us to cut and edit audio, enabling us to fix recording mistakes. We can adjust the volume of our recordings in BAE and even adjust volume over time, enabling us to fade audio in and out. BAE can also handle multi-track recording. It has built-in audio effects and allows us to import and export audio files so that we can save our recordings to our computers or add other sound files to our recordings. If, after this lesson, you decide you might want to explore more advanced recording tools, you can consider free options like Audacity for PC platforms or GarageBand for Mac computers. Both of these programs will offer more options than BAE, but the concepts we learn from BAE will apply to both these platforms. If you've chosen to follow along, go ahead now and take a moment to open the BAE site in another window. I recommend you pause occasionally to reference the BAE site and follow along as I go over some of the elements of the BAE interface. In the image of the BAE interface here, I have marked a number of features we will reference during this tutorial and onward. First, near the top of the image, you can see a track in the BAE interface. The shape in the track image is called a waveform. It shows the volume of the recording over time. Each imported or recorded track you have in BAE will have its own waveform. In the bottom center of the screen, you can see the record button. When you press this button, BAE will begin recording a new track of audio. In the top left of the screen, you can see the play button, which will begin playing your audio, as well as the return to start button, which returns you to the beginning of your recording. Note that you can also use the spacebar to play or pause a track. Lastly, beneath the waveforms for all the existing tracks, you will see a button that says Import. This will allow you to add an audio file from your computer to BAE. This can allow you to add in outside audio files to your BAE project or reuse work you have previously recorded. We will take advantage of both these possibilities later. If you have BAE open, go ahead and press the record button. If it hasn't already, your browser will ask permission to record audio through your microphone. Give it permission to do so. Talk into your mic as BAE is recording. Make some noise. Try saying something like, "Hello, I'm learning how to record and edit audio." When you stop the recording by pressing space or pressing the stop button, the waveform for your track appears. One of the advantages of recording software like BAE is that if we make a mistake while recording, we can also try again. If, while recording in BAE, you decide you want to try again at recording, simply stop the recording and press the record button again. You can always click on the old track and press the delete button to remove the old track. You can even drag your new recording into the old track if you want to add a new recording onto the same track as the old recording. No matter how you are recording audio, there are some techniques that will help make your recordings sound clear and polished. First, always record in a quiet space. Next, find the right distance from your microphone that lets you record at the proper volume. You want to be loud enough so that you can be clearly heard, but not so loud that your voice sounds distorted. This is called clipping, and you can tell your recording is clipping if the waveform ever fills up the entire track bar in a recording. As you record, make sure you are not so close to the mic that you make any noise by breathing on it. Remember to stay calm when you're recording your lines. You can always try again later, and we will learn how to edit our best takes together. Lastly, as you are starting or stopping recordings, be careful never to press the space bar hard enough that it can make a noise that shows up on your recording. While we will later learn how to edit this out, it can be a distracting thing to hear in a recording, and pressing softly on the space bar to stop recording saves us editing time later. When you're done recording or editing a track, the last step is always to export it so it is safely saved on your hard drive. On the top bar of BAE, you can see a pair of buttons labeled .wav and .mp3. These buttons allow us to save our recordings as either a WAV or MP3 file. While WAVs have better clarity than MP3 files, they are also much larger. MP3s will allow us to save our recordings without our files getting too big, and that will be fine for our purposes here. If you're following along, take a moment to try recording and exporting some audio, or exporting the audio you recorded while following along in the earlier steps. Now that we've learned how to export audio, let's take a moment to talk about how to import it. You can find a button that says Import at the left of the screen. Clicking this button allows you to add audio files from your computer. A great way to take advantage of the import feature is to add free stock music to your recordings. There are a number of sources for free stock music online. These music files can be great for intro or outro music on recordings, or background music you can talk over. Another advantage of these free audio clips is that you won't run into issues with copyright. This can be important if you ever want to post your content online. To find a piece of stock music, try freestockmusic.com. You can find the URL on this slide. To add content from free stock music, simply download the song you want, then use the import function to bring the music into BAE. Now that we know how to record and import audio, let's talk about how we can make multiple tracks of audio work together. As you can see from this image, when you have multiple audio tracks, each waveform appears as a separate line in the BAE interface. You can click and drag on these waveforms to move them forward and backward on the audio timeline, or even between tracks if you'd like to combine multiple recordings on one track. On the top menu bar, you will also find the Cut button, which is highlighted in green on the right of this slide. With Cut mode selected, you can click where you would like to split a track, and the Cut feature will divide the recording. After that, you can simply delete the extra audio. This is useful if your stock music is much longer than you would like, and you only need a few seconds of a much longer clip. There are a number of ways you can benefit from combining multiple tracks. You can speak over background music if you are doing a spoken audio recording like a podcast. You can use multiple tracks to combine the best takes of a longer work, or have multiple tries at recording a section as well. There are, of course, more advanced options, like mixing together multiple audio inputs. With enough practice with audio editing tools, you could record and mix multiple instruments together. You could even start a band and produce a recording using the same skills we're practicing today. Beyond layering and combining recordings, we can also adjust the volume of those recordings. Beneath each track's waveform is a volume bar, which allows you to adjust the volume of the track over time. Simply click on the bar, and it adds a dot. You can then adjust the volume between dots on your timeline. Adjusting volume over time is a good way to do things like adjust for spikes in volume. You can also have your line move up or down from 0 to fade in or out of audio tracks, a useful trick for intro and outro music. Congratulations! You now know all the basics of how to produce and edit a podcast. You can use stock music for the intro and outro sound. You also know how to cut audio to use only the parts you want, and you know how to adjust the volume to fade music in and out. Most importantly, you know how to record your own audio using BAE for your vocal components, and you know how to use the cutting and editing features to fix mistakes or try parts again. All of these skills can be potentially useful in class projects or in your own creative endeavors. Additionally, we saw options like Audacity and GarageBand, which can allow you to scale up your capabilities should you decide you'd like to get more involved in recording and editing audio. Whether you followed along at home and produced your own recording, or you just made yourself familiar with the basics by watching, I hope this lesson shows you how accessible and easy audio recording and editing can be.